G'day, I am Debbie O'Shea, and this is the Crescendo Music Education Podcast. This podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Turrbal people. I acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. They were the first music makers on this land. And I would like to welcome to the Crescendo Music Education Podcast, Laura. Now let's make sure I get this correct because it's such a cool name, Bartolomeo.
A plus.
What a great name. It sounds musical to me, Bartolomeo. Love it.
Famous Italian. You see when you go to Italy, the famous, I don't know his first name, but anyway, he invented something.
Okay. Oh, all right. I wasn't even sure where it came from, so that's good to know. Now, I'm going to just start with this brief bio about the very experienced Laura. Okay. Laura is a highly experienced music educator with nearly 4 decades in the classroom. Laura is the creator of Oodles of Music, a much-loved resource hub packed with practical, time-saving ideas for elementary music teachers. With a strong Orff-inspired approach, Laura is passionate about joyful, hands-on music making, yes, and supporting teachers to feel confident, creative and sustainable in their work. So I am so delighted to have you on the podcast because I've just read out my own philosophy of teaching there, except mine is more a Kodaly inspired approach. But the rest of it, joyful, hands-on, supporting music teachers, that's so, I'm very excited to have you on. And before we get going, that was just a really brief intro. So what would you add to that snapshot of your work or your mission or what you see as your role as a music educator?
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up because, it's pre and post retirement. So that was how I like to run my class. And now that I'm retired, but I'm still doing musical things, my goal is to try to take some of the burden off the people who are still in the classroom. And I just know how it feels and I know how hard it is. And that's my goal now, is to enjoy creating barred instrument arrangements, and I put those on TPT and all that kind of stuff. But also to run my blog and my newsletter where I'm constantly talking to people. They send in questions, they privately email me questions, and I want to ease their burden as much as I possibly can because I know how hard it is.
It's not an easy job, is it?
No, no.
No, that's wonderful. And I wish more people at the end of their career, like me, that drive to give back. It's so important. We can't lose all of your great knowledge and experience. So that's wonderful that you're doing that. And of course, it will go without saying that in the show notes for this episode, which you can find on crescendo.com.au, find this episode, we will put links to all of the things we mentioned. So we'll put in links to your Oodles of Music and those sorts of things, but we'll get to that a bit later on. But never fear if you are listening and you're thinking, oh, I need to write down her name and what she does. No, it's okay. You can find it later. Just keep going on that treadmill.
Yeah, and I have to say too that like everything, I am giving back, but I gain more than I give. I just enjoy this whole I teaching was a good choice for me, and I love the process of all of it. And so I gain more than anything really. The give
Yes.
back, I get a lot.
Yes, and I think that's something that if educators aren't presenters as well, they don't realise how much you get back as you support others. I mean, not just emotionally, but you learn a lot. I mean, I love presenting because I love connecting with others and learning from them. And so it's sort of, although we're giving back as mentors, we're receiving a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it keeps us passionate and engaged, and that's what it's all about. If you look back, you just mentioned that um, education was a good fit for you. You think you wound up in the right place. But what drew you to that in the first place?
Well, I can't say that I wanted to be a teacher since I was 8 years old. It wasn't like that. And it was just a fortunate thing that what I ended up choosing ended up fitting with me. Or maybe I would have made anything fit. I don't know. And we can make our own happiness sometimes. But I came from a very musical family, and then my brother was a music teacher, and he's 8 years older, so he was a big role model. My mother ended up teaching kindergarten, and my father was very musical, and so music teaching just kind of was an easy path. And then once I got on it, I love math and puzzles and things like that. And teaching music became like a puzzle, and how I can fit these pieces together to make an effective program for kids.
Wow. I love that analogy. And because it is like that, isn't it? A little bit of this fits there and this fits there, and how will that be interesting? Oh,
Well, and that's the hard part of it too, because you have all of these things, and how do you cull it? That's one of the things for new teachers. They're bombarded with all this information and they don't know what to do next. It's so hard.
mm, yes, it really is. So that passion that you found and you've been teaching for so long, what do you think were the keys to keeping that passion and drive alive over the last 4 decades?
Well, I think one of the things is that just music touches me personally. And I think a lot of people go into music because they have such a personal connection to it to begin with. And then when you're in the classroom, those moments that nobody else sees, when you see a 7-year-old child light up, or just see, you feel this warmth from something they're doing, or you see a child who's having trouble in the classroom with reading, but in your room they're a rock star, or all of these wonderful things as you see them interact with the subject. um, I, I think that was part of it. And then the puzzle part was the other. I just kept wanting to find ways to get better all the time. I was constantly trying to better myself. And I feel like, young teachers are so hard on themselves. And I hate saying it to them because it seems like an insurmountable mountain, but I say, I was making mistakes and learning up till the bitter end when I retired. You're constantly learning. So I don't want to make them think it takes 40 years to learn how to be comfortable, but it takes a while. It truly is the essence of, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm. Could not agree more. And it's about learning to enjoy the journey because yes, like you, I feel I, at this stage, I'm planning to do another year before I retire from full-time teaching. And I've just got so much to learn. And I've been basically an educator for 44 years. So, like, you've got to get out of the mindset that I will get there. In 5 years, I'll know what to do. Yeah, no, you won't.
right. Well, I
So,
look at now all the things happening with researching songs and finding songs that have been mislabeled, and just there's so much to learn always. And so that was something that was really taking off when I retired. And I mean, I've continued to pursue it so I can share that information as
Mhm.
I find it. But there's always something new to learn. Even if you learn the basics, then there's always a next step and something else to learn. And I think if you're a teacher and you love what you're doing, you're a lifelong learner anyway, and
Yes.
you appreciate that process. So that describes me well.
I think that is key, lifelong learner. And I can hear that in everything you say, that that's what you are. And yes, there are so many new things thrown at us. And another reason that you could never find the answer is that every time you teach, you've got a different group of kids in front of you with different needs and different backgrounds and different quirks. So even if you think, I've got it pretty much squared away, like I'm feeling better, then you find yourself with another group of kids and all of those things you did, well, no, some of the things you did don't work. And you're going, okay, these kids don't like that. Oh, goodness. Those, like, so the other variable that you can never control is those personalities in front of you.
Yeah, and that's another reason maybe that I continued the way I did was my husband was a football coach, and so we moved quite a bit. And so I kept changing jobs. And by the end, I have taught in quite a few different situations. And what you say is true. Even if you stay in the same school with the same demographics, a new group comes in and they're still different because everybody has their own personalities.
Mhm.
But when you change socioeconomic levels, when you change a lot of other demographic type things, I've done urban, I've done suburban, I've done rural, I've done a lot of different things. And each one then I kind of had to start over because I had to kind of learn uh, more. I mean, there's similarities in all kids, but then there's differences, cultural differences and life differences. And so I had to constantly adjust to that as well.
Mm-hmm. That's a reality that was brought home to me in 2025. And I have to be careful to not say too much. But oh boy, it's if you find yourself in a more challenging school, what you think you knew, suddenly maybe you don't know, or
Yeah.
not quite so well. So that's I agree. Yes, and
Those are humbling experiences.
mm-hmm. Especially when you're very experienced and think actually it's a if I speak personally for a moment, when you think it's a strength, but classroom management and engagement is a strength of mine. That's one of the things I'm good at for music education. And then suddenly you go, hold on, maybe I'm not. Um, but then, of course, you have to reframe and say, okay, good. Start where the kids are at and let's uh, learn what works. Mm.
Yeah, your bag of tricks, you have to pull out your bag of tricks and plus find some new
Uh-huh.
tricks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a constant balancing act and shuffling and learning, and
Yeah.
it's challenging.
It is. So it's so wonderful that you are choosing to give back and support others. Now, I like to speak about gratitude in every episode because I think, apart from being a lifelong learner, having an appreciation and feeling of gratitude for the good things in your life is really important. So I'm just wondering, what are you most grateful for right now? And it could be musical, education, or it could be personal life.
I guess I'm most thankful for my health right now, that um, that I'm healthy enough to be able to sit down and do all this digital stuff that I'm doing, and I'm capable, and and not all my friends are that are my age, and people are going through different things, some on their own, some as caregivers, and so I'm really grateful for my health. And that would be my number one. And of course, my supportive family who, you know, uh, she's going to retire, and look, now she's starting a new A new thing. So, but they know it makes me happy, so I appreciate their support. And the other thing I'm grateful for is a chance to learn something new because besides working in the music education side of it, I'm getting to work on the business side of it. So I'm getting to learn about um, website design and graphic design and like search engine optimization, SEO, and all that stuff. And I love it. And I'm having a great time learning something brand new as well. So I'm really grateful for that. And I guess that's it.
Oh, that's more than enough. And I do think, again, it's coming back to this lifelong learner that you talked about. But I think it's what keeps you engaged in life, isn't it? To keep learning and keep working on something new. And
It is for
also,
me.
yeah, and
Yeah.
part of being a true what I've come to think of recently as a creative. I think as a creative, you having that new challenge, in a good way challenge is really important to creative people, I think.
That is the essence of why I love it because I'm able to create. And creating is what just makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I figure things out and I create all sorts of things, things for teachers and things on the blog, on my blog to help and all that kind of stuff and learning all the business side of it. The creating is, I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I wasn't able to create. And that really guided my teaching. I always wanted to be a teacher who offered creative opportunities to kids. So that kind of guided that too. And I would do crazy things sometimes, just the craziest things ever.
Okay,
We
okay.
I had a whole grade level build dulcimers and we talked about math ratios and we did all sorts of things.
I was going to say, you've got to give us an example after saying that. Building dulcimers, oh my goodness.
Well, they're kits, but they're kits that you put together. But we were able to do it. We got adult volunteers to come in and help with the
Oh,
tools, and
thank goodness.
you're gluing and painting, and then you learn to play it. And but they're learning the math ratios of an octave, the 2-to-1 ratios, and all sorts of things. And like I said, I love math. So I would stepping out of the box is fun for me. I like
Oh,
that.
oh, wow. Okay, well, you certainly were in the right job then, because, I'm sure you were a loved music teacher. You were the fun, exciting one, I'm sure.
I
Now,
tried.
now, we have to get to talk about the Orff-inspired teaching. Listeners of this podcast know I'm definitely a Kodaly-inspired teacher. I've done some Orff workshops, but not my level training. Um, but I believe I'm not one of those. You're in the Orff camp and you're in the Kodaly camp. I think it's quite good to own your philosophical base. Like that's just being honest, isn't it? Um,
Yes.
but I'm certainly not in the you're the Orff and we're the Kodaly and never the twain shall meet. I think we have so much to learn from each other. And had I a little more time and career left, I would love to do my Orff levels, but just have competing things happening now. I think there's a lot to be learnt there. So knowing I'm fairly ignorant relatively ignorant in this area, let's have a chat about Orff-inspired teaching and why it resonates so well for you and your learners.
Uh, it's again an active way of making music. And so to sit and do an old-fashioned kind of thing where you're going to do nothing but drill rhythms or sit and have the kids just sit and talk or sit and watch or just sit. too much sitting, too much talking. I mean, there has to be discussion. I'm not saying that, but it's just an active way. It's a way to use their bodies, but use their instruments, use speech, and it's just an active way, and it sets you up beautifully for a creative process. Not just with barred instruments and improvisation, but with, I mean, you can do anything. I mean, they can create forms, they can create all sorts of things. So it really went in again to that creative side of opening up a world. Well, I didn't get my Orff levels until I was a little bit older. I think I was maybe, I don't know, in my 40s. And so I had some years under my belt, but it really ended up being great because I knew what I knew and I knew what I didn't know. And I had a great perspective at that point. And so it just kind of firmed up some things I already was doing. And then it opened up to some areas that I could improve upon greatly. And I put them into practice immediately. So
Mm.
um, let's see. So I'm mainly the creative side of it. Um, the I always wished that I'd gotten my Kodaly levels because I felt like that would have helped me pinpoint a little bit better some of my curriculum. And so, like you said, uh, the both worlds, but they can't, it's hard to exist mutually. You have to kind of go one way more than the other, I think.
Mm.
And if you call yourself an eclectic teacher, some people look down on that, but I really kind of think I was sort of an eclectic teacher.
Mm. I think we're all eclectic. I remember early in my Kodai training someone saying, "Oh, they can't be a Kodai teacher. They're playing a guitar." I went, "What?" um, I don't believe in my Kodai study. It said you can't accompany children singing with a guitar. The philosophy does say it's good to sing a cappella so that they can hear their own voice as well. It does not say you never ever sing any other way. I think taking a a purist look at each philosophy, and it's almost like fundamental Christians, I guess. That there's almost like I've gone too extreme. I've taken this, and so I'm not comfortable with those extreme versions. Do you know what am I making sense?
No, it's one of my pet peeves. It's an elitism,
Mm,
and it comes off like that. And for young teachers, it makes them feel like they're going to do something wrong.
uh-huh.
I mean, it doesn't open up a world of where you're going to make your own way. It's like, oh, I shouldn't do that. That's wrong for me to do that. And that really bothers me when people kind of act like their way is the best way. And some people get that, with their rhythm systems, how they count rhythms, and all sorts of things. And it's like we're solving world peace. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
let's not make it that big of a deal.
that's right. And I think we borrow ideas from absolutely everyone all the time. Um, and I just think the way I think of it personally, with my underpinning Kodai philosophy, is that it gives me. In fact, I even have a little illustration with a skeleton, and it gives me the backbone of what I'm going to teach when, and it gives me the basic structure of how I prepare a concept, present it, practice it. But how I fill out the body is completely up to me. I
Do
can
you feel
choose.
like you're do you feel like you're left of center for a Kadai teacher?
I That's an interesting question. Um, some might think so. If they came to my classroom, they would go, "You're doing an awful lot of moving with scarves. Well, of course, because, and we're showing form maybe, or we're just being creative. Yeah, yes, maybe I am, maybe I am slightly left. Actually, that describes my life. I'm just slightly left of centre.
You know, it's an interesting observation for young teachers who might be listening to this. A lot of times they'll ask the question, um, I'm new at the school and the principal said, what do I need? They're going to give me a little bit of a budget. What should I get for my classroom? And I always answer the same thing. It depends on what kind of philosophy you have.
Mhm.
Because if people say you should get this, 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 and this, well, that's what works for them. And that works for their philosophy. Now, there are some things like a good sound system. Everybody should have that. But
Mhm.
I mean, some of the other things, but they don't really know their philosophy necessarily at that point. But so for those teachers, it's okay. Again, the marathon and the sprint, you've got to take your time and figure out who you are as a teacher, and it just takes time. It just
Mhm.
takes time, and it's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay. Just let it take time.
Mhm. I am with you there. Now, how do you balance movement, instruments, technology, all of those things within your classroom? Do you have, if I would say it varies greatly, but do you work in sort of units? You might do a little bit where you're focusing on ukulele more, or I'd imagine being Orff-inspired, your barred instruments would be fairly regularly used. Just can you just chat about how you balance all those different things in your puzzle?
Yes. I would say there are more units with the older kids. So we would run a ukulele unit, maybe a recorder unit, a barred instrument unit, although I used barred instruments a lot for different situations, but one where we would do, I always loved doing hot marimba Zimbabwe style playing. The kids love it, and it's such a great ensemble feel and so good for the kids. And I always ran that in the second semester in January because I feel like that's a real period of where you have to re-engage the kids and get in there and just having fun with the instruments and playing those pieces. So I would run little units like that. But and not so much with the younger kids because the younger kids were singing, we're doing singing games, we're doing some handheld percussion, we're doing a lot of movement, we're doing all that constantly, and so not units for the younger kids. But the other thing is, I would pull in some of those things depending on what I was doing. So if a song, the natural fit for it was movement, then we'd add movement. And that again is like things in life. If things are a natural fit, do it. If they're not, don't force it. So, you want to do more, use scarves more. Well, it's not going to work for some things, but it's going to work really well for others. So you would take what is in your curriculum, what's coming up. That's how I approach too, like my song resources on TPT. I sit and look at it. And actually, I'm backtracking. I'm putting all these puzzle pieces out here. Somebody just asked me, I would love to have a template where you could take a song and then write out everything you're going to do with that song. And so I started to work on it, and it stymied me, because it depends on the song
Mhm.
and the variables. It's tough. I'm going to still work on it though, because I'd like to get something for them, but you just have to look at what's a natural fit for some things. Form is great for some, but not for others. So basically, I looked at my repertoire then, the true answer is, and then I put in what fit for that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's what many educators do. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yes, I'm trying to do a similar thing actually for some of this year's new downloads. I'm looking at some early childhoods. So I'm talking crescendo now, not classroom, but for the classroom. And I'm looking at trying to do a template for each of the songs or rhymes. So I start with the song and the rhyme and an illustration, and then the next one, if it's a song, it will have the music, perhaps in an illustration, which it doesn't need if it's a rhyme. But there is one with text because it could be good for pre-reading literacy. And then I think the next sheet is basically one that class teachers could do where they do an illustration. Good. And then I'm going, okay, what do I do next? That's then I can use for the next one. And the answer is I can't. At the moment,
Mm-mm.
what I'm doing is I've got the beginning couple of sheets, and then the rest, it just depends completely on what the song or the rhyme is. It might be because this is also a resource for to go in the classroom, not just the music room, like early literacy stuff. So it might be find the rhyming words or write in your name in the rhyme. So then you need a sheet where they write in their own name. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, Debbie at the kitchen door, and there'll be a space, and the children write in their own name. What a great idea. You can't do that for Moses supposes his toes are roses. That does not work. So I can't use that. So I am in exactly the same place, and I think still a template's vaguely possible, but gee, it's got to have a lot of variation within that template.
Yeah, like in Google, if you have one of those drop downs with all their options, it's going to be this long because you put name in there. Can you do something with a name? But well, I have what's the site, the Kodaly song site? It's here in the States, and
Not music play online? No,
no, no, no,
they're
no.
both they're
It's
both
the
uh, the
it
singing classroom.
no, it's not a commercial site.
Oh, oh,
It's
holy names.
Holy Names. That's
Yeah.
it. Holy
Mm.
Love that site. If anybody doesn't know it, I mean, it's just a wealth of information. But on the side, it's your options. And they have done what I'm hesitating to do. They put everything in there. And it is a huge repository of information. But you kind of have to know what you're doing to use it too. So at that point, then it's not serving what the people are really wanting, which is an easy
Yeah.
template.
Yeah, I know. I've got to. And yes, I know and love Holy Names. Never actually went there. And it's moved now apparently. But I do have a Holy Names summer certificate because they brought their summer school to Brisbane here in Australia where I am. And I went through and did their summers. So I have a Holy Name summer certificate, even though I didn't go. But yes, I think we'll make sure we put the link to that in the show notes. It is a great resource, isn't it? And
It's
especially if you,
fabulous.
yeah, you want something with a particular tone set for something or a type of song, you can search. The search function's quite wonderful. You can look in all sorts of categories. So yeah, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes if you do not know about that one.
And people are looking a lot of times for, my spring program is about sunshine and light, or, they'll have subjects. And so it's a great place to look for something. A lot of the songs aren't necessarily maybe something you would use in a concert. You might have to arrange it because they can
Mm-hmm.
be shorter, but it can be a wealth of information. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm a bit of a fan of a shorter song. You wouldn't want to do it all the time, but I love taking a shorter song and then creating with it. Add a add an introduction, add an ostinato. Can we do it in canon? Could we add a solo or I think it's lots of fun taking a shorter song and turning it into something amazing.
Well, that kind of leads me into one of my favorite books is let's see, I have it here. Um, it's by Jane Frazee, Artful, Playful, Mindful. And it I didn't read it until maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. But it was a huge aha moment when I read it. And
Oh,
she kind of makes you feel better because she says in here, there there is just too much put out there for you to do in a year. And she talks about the lesson writing process, and she does have kind of a template that I love. But um, she kind of talks about, let's see, her in three steps. You make music, you make up music, and then you make sense of music. Those are her three things. And a lot of times, newer teachers, they have a song and it's like, what do I do with it? But once you start thinking in her terms, you let them make music so they can move, they can sing, they can do a partner, something with a partner, or whatever. And then making up music is exactly what you're talking about. What if we put, like something, a bridge in there between singing it, or to put a spoken part or whatever? Let them make up music. That you made me think of that because that's one of my favorite books. And she talks about creating, letting, and there again is the creative process.
mhm.
But when you look at that, it helps you get ideas for your lesson planning. I own so many books, and I would say I really got use out of I'm 10% of them,
Mhm.
and that one is golden. I love that book.
I actually think 10% is probably generous because I've got a bookshelf full. I did cull a little bit, which hurt, but there's still so many, and some of them that I gave away. Oh, and that's getting harder because people don't want an actual book. Oh no, but anyway, some of them I gave away. I don't think I opened, and I would have bought, I mean, perhaps 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and I've never opened it. And it,
I know.
mm,
That's And the other thing is, but now maybe, teachers aren't buying as many books because there's so much online, and
mm,
you don't have to buy them because there's so much information online. So the other book that I don't have it is the Lois Choksy book.
oh, I
I
love Lois
Yeah,
Choksy.
yeah, and she was influential. I had a grad class where we really got into some of the Kodaly philosophy, and she said something about you're confusing naming something with understanding it.
Uh-huh.
And she talked, I think, about why would you have them identify a whole note when they should be stepping beats around the room, steady beat, and not name them at that point. So she was very influential. That book is another book that I really like.
Yes, they are. They're gold. All her books are gold. And we hosted her when I lived in Cairns in North Queensland. She came to Australia and did some things there. It's wonderful. But I think that is one of the basic understandings that you need to have to understand Kodai philosophy is that, or any philosophy really, naming it is not understanding. When I did my master's degree and I had to do a prac because it was a Kodai based master's degree, and I was working in a grade 8 high school classroom. It's high school here in Australia. And it was at the time the first year of high school. We've now gone grade 7 is the first year, but it was grade 8, and which I wasn't a high school teacher. But I was using Bach's Little Fugue in G minor to teach as one of the materials I was using to teach the rhythm tum ti, dotted crotchet quaver, which in your language, a dotted quarter note and an eighth note. I think that's correct. Yes. So when I was planning, I didn't realise, but I was playing it and singing it a lot. But I didn't realise, even because I do tend to sing or hum or whatever when I'm actually planning as well, when I'm planning about that. And my son, my eldest son, who is now 32, he was, he hadn't turned two. So he, somewhere between about 1.5, he started wandering around the house beautifully in tune, going ta ta tum ti 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 ta ti ticka ti. Oh, sorry, ti 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 ticka ti ti. He sang the whole thing in rhythm names. Now, my 1.5-year-old did not understand what he was singing. He did sing it in tune and in time, good oh. But that's not, you cannot say he understands those rhythms. It's still one of my favourite stories. I love it. However, what he could do was, I think, twice through the playing of the themes, it's a long time ago, it's played in minor. It changes. And Tom goes, it's different there. I go, oh, yes. But anyway, naming is not the same as understanding.
Right. And what happens is you hear all the time, a teacher will be new to a school and they'll say, um, they haven't had a teacher, a music teacher for a while, or I don't know what that other teacher did, but they can't, perform these rhythms. And by perform, I mean clap or do a worksheet or, I mean, or name. And I, I think we just revert back to, I don't know, our instrumental uh, or vocal technique days of where everything was, note maybe rhythm driven, or I mean, or pitch driven, and we learned that way um, instead of what I hope kids are learning in teaching programs where, I mean, we shouldn't be doing that kind of thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we should have both. I think they should be learning to be literate, but through doing and
Yes.
really understanding. So yes, I think that's the way to go. Now, tell us about Oodles of Music.
Well, I've always loved computers and I love technology. And so I used to be in charge, the music teacher was in charge of the school's website the school, my last school before I retired. And my principal loved that I was willing to do it. And I loved doing it. And so I learned a lot while I was doing it. And then COVID hit. And so all of a sudden, I was doing a lot of our digital things related to COVID and programs that we were sending out to the parents and having kids send in videos that I would put in PowerPoints and whatever. So I also then, when we started to come back to school, um, I started Oodles then, knowing that I wanted something, and I created a ukulele program on it. That was the first thing I created for my students, and it was kind of my philosophy. And then it's just grown from there into kind of a platform for K-5 teachers. And I have a weekly newsletter, I have subscribers, and a lot of these things they'll say, you can tag subscribers for different types of emails. And I never tag anybody because the music teachers basically want to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to pick and choose. But for me to say, well, I'm only going to say Orphy things to this group, and I'm only going to send, something to this group, it just doesn't work that way. And so Oodles of Music is like that too. It is a lot of everything.
Yeah,
And
I
I
would
find,
love it. Yeah, go
yeah,
on.
and I find a need, uh, my uh, latest post or page now has been trending music because teachers are always asking, what are the kids listening to now? What is school appropriate? So I have a new page called Trending Music, and I go on TikTok, I go on YouTube, I follow Facebook music groups to hear what other teachers say that they're seeing. I go on Billboard magazine. I do a lot of research every week into what's trending, and then I go look at the lyrics.
Uh-huh.
And then I look at the chord structure and if I think it can apply to, ukuleles or something. And oh, my doggy just came in. Um, so that's my latest page. So each page was kind of created from things I knew already that teachers needed and
Needed.
wanted, and
Hmm.
from like I have a big page. Like I said, I have like 5 pages for ukulele. One page has 1 and 2 chord songs. One has 3 chord songs. And then, uh, you know, how to set up your classroom. Just just a wide variety of things.
That sounds wonderful. And as a newsletter sender outer as well, yes, I can't um, do segments because they just want whatever you're sending, or they'll pick and choose what they want. I agree with that completely. We will definitely put in the link to your website because I know there's lots of gold in there people can go in and grab. But we are up to the tail end of the podcast, but
Okay.
it's the gold. It's the nuggets of fabulous.
Okay.
So you've actually already shared some. I want to chase up that book you showed me. I want to do that. And of course, explore your site further. So you've already given us some nuggets of fabulous. But if you could just give us with a piece of advice or a resource or an idea or anything that you would like to give to our listeners to take away today, what your nugget of fabulous is.
All right. Um, well, I think I have like 10 things, but I'll go down to two. Number one is, um, as I look back, I think my daughter asked me this, do you have any regrets? And one of my regrets is uh, not paying more attention to my own well-being and health. So in your 40s and 50s, even your 30s, whatever, some of the decisions you make impact your 60s and 70s. And so I would be willing to go out there and say that our job is stressful. So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some people say, "Oh, I'm not stressed," but I think most have their stressful moments, and so I want people to actively take care of themselves. And I don't just mean the old, we don't get to go to the bathroom and I should drink more water, but I mean, I would come home so exhausted. I should have been doing exercising and I should have been doing a lot of other things, and I wasn't. I'm not a person, there's no way I could get everything done during school. My joke to the principal often was, if I didn't have to teach these classes, I could get a lot more done.
Hmm.
Um,
I like that. Well, I could actually do everything I'm being asked to do if I didn't have to teach. Hmm.
as I got older, I used to ask the principal a lot more things too. So I would say, and if I heard this if I heard this from somebody who was retired in my 40s, say, would I pay attention to him? But I'm telling you, you got to pay attention to me. Um, you don't think that it's going to matter, but it does matter.
Mm,
And it's okay. It's okay if you have to take a mental health day. It's okay to have something in your back pocket if you need it. Instead of teaching back-to-back classes where you're doing six different things in every class and you're wearing yourself out, have something to fall back on,
mhm.
and just take care of yourself. So I would say that. And then on the teacher's technical side, I'd say do a lot less talking and um, and just start singing. And they're either going to sing along with you or they'll listen. And maybe your intent was for them to listen. If they've never heard it before, they're probably going to listen to you. But don't go into long explanations. There's a lot of people who have um, classroom management problems, and some of it comes from not being prepared enough. And so they kind of fumble with getting whatever's going to happen, but try less talk. I think that's a big one.
They are definitely nuggets of fabulous. Could not agree more as someone who is later in life and now, just now, starting to be kinder to myself. And if I need a day off, I will take it. And I will think, why has it taken to my mid 60s before I will actually do that? You've really got to look after yourself. I love that advice. And yes, less talk. Absolutely. Nuggets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nuggets. Now, advocacy, I'm sure it's similar, at least in some parts of the States, that, and it's certainly the case in Australia, big time. We have to advocate for what we do to just even keep our programs. And I think that, well, I know I fight at a local level, at a state level, and even at a national level. I do whatever I can, but we are always looking for ways to advocate for the importance of music education for our children. So I like to pick the brains of my guests and see if what they do or would do to sell the importance of music education, because the people listening to this podcast, they don't need to know. They already know. We've got to reach the people that don't know how important it is. So how have you in the past advocated for music education in general?
Um, well, on the national level, I don't have much to say about that right now.
Oh, okay, yes, sorry, yes.
Um, so, but even if the situation was a little bit different, I mean, it's hard to do that. So honestly, I think one of the best things you can do is do your job as well as you can so that kids are going home to their parents singing a song they did in class. And, when you have a parent come up to you and say, their 6-year-old boy was singing a song and they never thought they'd see that in their life, or um, I don't want to put pressure on people, but if you have a really good concert, it's golden for you. And if you do things in your own school where you are an important part of it, not just as the music teacher, but as a teacher, I feel like that helps music as well. And then I would take performing groups and perform, down at the board center for our district and do certain things in the community where we would get our name out there. We had a big peace walk every year for International Peace Day. And so that was highlighting the importance of, music in the community. So I feel like that can go a long way. I think if a district really wants to get cut music, I I don't know, I don't know too much that we can do to stop them. But I feel like if enough parents love the program and can put pressure on it, then that's so mine is more at a local level to just try to try to be the face of something wonderful. And music is wonderful and people do appreciate it. So that's what I would say.
Yes, we should be the face of something wonderful and affect change through our children and through their parents. I that is wonderful advocacy advice.
Now, sometimes people are in a school where that's a real challenge. So I'm not saying you can do it everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but there are times where you can, and sometimes you have to kind of step out of your comfort zone to to be a little assertive, um, in how you do things. So suggest programs. People are afraid to go sometimes to administrators and say, "Hey, I want to have, you know, this arts night out program. I want to create something new." And I think that helps a lot. And you can't be afraid to innovate
Mm-hmm.
in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think that mm, I don't like to generalize, but sometimes music educators don't stand up enough. I think because we want to create joy and happiness. We don't want to rock the boat, but sometimes you do have to stand up and be a bit stronger and say, this would be great for the kids. I really think it would benefit the community, and you do need to be a little bit stronger. I think, so I'm not talking to everyone, but I know I've been too much of a people pleaser and not stood up when I've felt it's important. So I think that's something to remember. Think of what's best for you and what's best for the children.
Yes, I'm the same way. I'm a people pleaser, and I have to fight that.
Yeah.
But and you can overextend yourself too. So I'm not saying go out there and because we're already working ourselves so hard during the day. So you can only do so much, and there are people who do too much, and it's harmful. I mean, it's just too much, and they get overloaded and overwhelmed and stressed. So, but if you get an opportunity to do something, or you're in a situation where it's a natural fit and you can push it through, then give it a whirl.
Love it. It has been a delight chatting to you, Laura. I've loved listening to your gems of wisdom, and I know all of our listeners are loving this chat as well. But to wrap us up, I'd like to offer you a soapbox moment where you can just shout one thing from the rooftops to all of our listeners, and we can finish with your soapbox moment. And thank you, Laura.
Okay, let's see. A soapbox moment would be play music occasionally in your room that you like and just have a dance party with something you love. There's a couple of songs that I would play sometimes, and we would just move to it, and they'd look at me like, what is she doing? But I liked the song and I needed to hear it. You know how there's just certain songs that kind of, they're your power songs, and I would play them. So put something on you like if you're having a down day and just have fun with it.
I love that. And I should leave it at that, but I can't because I'd really love to know one or two of your songs. Is that okay? Or is it too personal?
No, no, not at all. I mean, I would play it for the kids. So one of them is September by Earth, Wind, and Fire, which I played all the time for the kids anyway, and we would do different activities to it. I love that song. But another one is Stevie Wonder's "Isn't She Lovely?" And
Oh,
there's something about that song that I love. And I had a great sound system in my room. I would crank that thing up.
I love that. Can I say, I have never just played a song purely because, oh, of course, I've used lots of songs I like and love, but the one that I would put on to bop around at home, I've never thought to just put that on for fun and share with the kids and say, I love this song, and we're not doing anything with it pedagogically. We're not learning it for a concert. We're just doing it for fun. I have never, is it awful to admit that? I have never thought of just doing that.
I would do sometimes, I love to call things, this is a nugget. Just give it a name. If you give it a name, it elevates anything. So you can call it Fun Song Day and then put your song on. Or I used to have, we're going to have Sing and Move Day. This was one of my back pocket things when I was about ready to fold. And it's on Oodles, where I have just video after video, and it's a singing video, then a moving video, sing, move, sing, and and they would come in and I go, it's Sing and Move Day. So we would do that. I mean, like the day after a concert
Uh-huh.
or whatever. But what was your song? What would your song be?
Oh, okay. One of them that I love is Walking on Sunshine.
I love that song. Who
Um,
can't be happy when they hear it?
well, that's what I think. Yeah, it just makes you. That's
The
the one that
horns.
came to my mind.
Yeah.
I I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do that. Like we're in at time of recording, we're in our big summer break. So when I'm back at school, I'm going to be using that. And I do love that idea of naming what you do. And it does add that little bit of fun, doesn't it? Wow. Well, that was a big soapbox moment, but it was so worth it. And it was delightful to meet you, Laura.
You too. Thank you so much for asking me. I love to chat about music education, and it's just been such a thrill for me to chat with you. I think that you are such an advocate, and I appreciate that. You make me feel comfortable talking about all my stuff, so thank you.
Thank you. As we know, laughter relieves stress. Don't lose sight of the funny side of life. I once ate a dictionary. It gave me the sorest throat I've ever had. Thank you so much for watching our Crescendo Music Education podcast. For more information about all things Crescendo, including membership and music education resources, visit us at crescendo.com.au. Don't forget to like and subscribe.